All my life, I've been really blessed to live not too far away from the sea. I think I'd struggle to live too far away from the sea. I grew up in the town of Pembroke Dock, and as a child I was brought up watching the ships go in and out of the Milford Haven waterway. My granddad had a small motorboat, and we would often go out in it, up and down the River Cleddau. And my dad was in the Naval Reserves, and so my life revolved around the water. In many ways, I take living not too far away from the coast for granted. There's something about the sea. I need to be near the sea. My dad would often tell stories about his Naval Reserve days. He'd tell many stories about how rough seas could be, not far off the coast of the UK. And since then, he showed me films of how rough some of the trips he went on were. And boy, were they rough. I have to say I have the highest regard for all who work around our coasts and seas, for their dedication and for their service. Today on Sea Sunday, it's good to think about, to pray for, and to give thanks to God for all who work around our coastline and in the seas. For HM, Maritime and Coast Guard Agency, and the RNLI. Especially, of course, thinking about our own local crew and our own local lifeboat station at Borth. Looking after people around our coast. We think too of the Merchant Navy, so essential for our global economy, and at this challenging time to keep supplies going. We think too of our Royal Navy, ensuring the protection of our coastline. For those involved in the fishing industries, and for all who work on our seas and around our coastline in so many ways. Our Bible reading from Psalm 107 describes the experiences of some who went down to the sea in ships, doing business on the mighty waters. And the psalm writer talks about the people's experience of a storm, showing them the power of God. The storm was so rough. The stormy wind was so strong, and the waves of the sea crazy. The sea was so rough that the waves were like those that rose up to the heavens and went down to the depths. It must have been terrifying. It must have been scary. It said they reeled and staggered like drunkards, and they were at their wits' end. And so what did they do? They cried to the Lord. In other words, they prayed. They realised their need to turn to God right then. And the psalm tells us that the people's experience was that the sea calmed and they arrived safely at their desired haven. Can you imagine it? What a relief. They were safe. And the next verse, the psalm encourages the people who are on the ship to give thanks to the Lord for his steadfast love, for God's wonderful works to humankind. I remember my dad saying that when the sea was really rough, sometimes he'd pray quietly to himself. The power of sea leads many to pray. But there's a message here for all of us, not just for those who go down to the sea in ships. In life, we might face many rough seas, and we realise there are so many things over which we have no control whatsoever. We've all experienced that recently. But the psalm says, pray. The psalm says, turn to God. Interestingly, Google search results show that there's been a huge increase in the number of people searching about prayer, and the attendance at online services has been remarkable. So take this opportunity. Pray. Find out about prayer. Find again the answers that the Christian faith gives to the meaning of life.